All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, bonjour, bonsoir. Um, I'm trying to remember whatever greetings I know. Konnichiwa, ni hao. I did my best to learn some languages, all right. But whatever it is, welcome to today's market review session with us at EasyFX Academy. And you know how it is here. Basically, we are just looking at the charts to have an idea, all right, of what exactly we should be expecting from the markets during the course of this week. All right, and just without taking too much of our time, let's just start off on DXY. That's what I have open right on the chart right now. The US dollar index, this is on the daily time frame. Let me just drop down to the 4 hour time frame quickly and let's look at it together. All right, so if you look from the daily perspective, you actually see that we've been fairly bearish for a bit, and of recent, at least since around July, late July, we've seen DXY give us sort of a bullish structure. All right, we've seen something like this, giving us this break of this high, and then we're having sort of a lower high or a higher low rather at this point here. But all the same, let's exactly look at it together and sort of get an understanding of what we should be expecting from the dollar now. Now, from what I can see here, I'll still stick with the bearish bias overall. All right, but for something immediate that we can work with, especially as retail traders, I would possibly prefer to wait for at least maybe like the third touch of a trend line. I want to see price come down a little bit, just to get another support. If truly we're going to continue, bullish, if truly we're going to continue bullish, let me just use the sorry, let me just quickly use the line charts to set that up for us so to be just a little bit cleaner. Right, so using the line charts, we just have this. Then possibly for interesting regions that we might want to, just have at the back of our mind, maybe this region around here, it looks like an interesting pivot for us. Yeah, so let's have that for the meantime on the XY. Let's go to the candlestick chart and then look at it once more. So we're seeing price, all right, already giving us good enough reactions from it. So let's not bother about that. But overall, you can still see that we should possibly, possibly still expect this guy. We had a massive rejection from here. So possibly we should still expect this guy to give us a little bit more of a drop. So I just want to see, a deeper drop, all right, into this region. Though we are seeing, we have sort of a drop, sorry, sort of a rally based rally inside that region here. Price hasn't gotten there yet, right? And also sort of correlates with what we're seeing for what we're expecting on the trend line. So basically for dollar, I still expect for us to see some level of weakness, maybe something like this. All right, and then possibly we can get to see some recovery towards the upside. Now, this is just an index chart, right? So it's not necessarily, unless your broker does allow you to trade it, all right, but if not, you can, by all means, just look at this as just a bias of what I expect from the US dollar itself. All right, so that's just it for the US dollar DXY charts right now. We're going to go straight into the currency pairs. Let's just have that at the back of our mind, right? So let's start from gold. Gold has basically been one of our very, very interesting commodities of recent, and let's just look at it together and see what exactly we might be expecting from gold this week. Now let me just start from here. All right, there's some I think there's that I was reading of recent that there have been some higher tariffs that have been placed on, I think, gold ETFs, something like that. All right, but basically, fundamentally speaking, there are many reasons for gold to drop this week. Actually, fundamentally speaking, there are many reasons for us to have gold dropping this week. However, let's see. Um, let's just start from the daily time frame, right? We're still not seeing gold come close enough to give us that break of this high, right? Somewhere around here. We've seen that this has been a very, very strong, sorry, this has been a very, very strong, resistance for price. One, two, three different times price has come towards that point, and we've had good enough rejections to push price lower. All right, that's around 3432 3432.57, depending on your broker, that those values might vary. All right, but basically what we're looking at right now, possibly we could still see gold drop. But let's come to the 4 hour time frame and let's just have understanding, a cleaner understanding of whatever is happening right now. So is gold here? No. Good. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to give us biases based off of this here. So I'll just give us biases based off of current structure, um, possible entries for the buys if at all we're looking for buys, and entries for sales also. So let me just look at the key. Very good. So if at all, now this buy is a very risky one, but because it is, you're going to be using quite a large region, but Basically, we don't necessarily have to drop down to the 1 hour time frame. This is just something I just spotted on. You can still see it on the 4 hour time frame basically. So we just have that region there for possible buys. Off of this, if you're going to be entering, you can just relax. Don't be too greedy. If you're quite aggressive, you might want to enter from like this initial point here. If not, I would advise that you should relax at least for price to come into the 50% of that region, or better still into this candle that signifies a sort of, oh sorry, give me a minute, just give me a minute. All right, apologies for that. I think my internet just got disconnected for a bit, but yeah, we're back. So, or you can just wait, as I was saying earlier, or you can just wait for price to come into around this sort of this red candle here, which is going to act as another pivot for us, which is still coincides with around the 50% region of that point. So basically for buys, if you're more aggressive, you can look at for your buys from anywhere between 3315.41 and 3282.72. That is quite aggressive for me. Preferably though, I would be more comfortable waiting for price around here. So let me just put this here. So this will be around 32. Am I saying that clearly? Yeah, 3299.94 and 3286.50. So that oh, let me increase it a little bit to the end of that point here. So let's just use this candle. So 3299.94 and 3281.90. So if I'm going to be looking out for buys, that will be where I'm watching out for the buys from. However, that being said, all right, so we've seen already a good enough reaction for the buys from this region. I think we gave this in our last market review, which was about upper week, the week before this last one. Unfortunately, we were not around last week for some reasons basically, but all the same, I think we can get good buys from here if at all you're looking out for buys. For the sales, I would still expect price to come up a little bit before we get a sell. That's if price doesn't just keep dropping from it. But if at all you're looking for a re-entry for the sell, or a sell entry rather, this would have been a very, very good enough region. Sorry, this would have been a good enough region around here. I do not think price got there, did it? Almost did. All right, but let me just give you this as a warning, because if at all we're looking out for buys from here, let me just give you this as a warning, or at least as a sort of overview of what I'm expecting right now. If we get to see price give us something towards this end, right, then I'm expecting those eyes to be taken out. Remember the eyes that I showed you on the daily time frame. Let me just zoom in on that a bit better. Right, remember these eyes that we're looking at on the daily time frame. If at all we get a strong enough push towards the upside, I expect those eyes to be taken out. All right, I sincerely expect those eyes to be taken out if at all we get something like that. So that would be my bias for gold. For the sales right now, I think I'm going to be very, very cautious. I already marked out that I already marked out this point earlier, around here. So if I'm looking out for sales, this seems fair enough. However, I'll just tell you this: if you're looking out for sales from here, I'll tell you this: just make sure you're working out with your own lower time frame confirmations. Sell region, or sell POI is between 3434.34. That's so funny. 3434.34 and 3416.30. That'll be my sell POI. And if I thought I'm going to watch out for that, I want to watch out for lower time frame break of structures, or lower time frame that's on the lower time frame, maybe on the 5 or 15 minutes, or maybe I want to watch out for maybe a good enough rejection candle being formed after price gets inside there. So I might not necessarily take up a buy limit, or sorry, sell limit inside there. I might just want to watch out for what price does when it's in there, and then I'll go in for my trade. So I know we've taken quite some time on gold. It's very, very necessary. Gold is quite volatile, and we have to be very, very cautious. That being said, finally, before we leave gold, I'll just tell you this: we are having you know CPI news released tomorrow. So please, by all means, do do be very cautious. All right, I do not want you to lose your money, but please do be cautious. Definitely we're going to be streaming it live with FX Templar himself. So the link will be sent, and you'll see the link. You see it on our Instagram. You should see it on our Telegram also. All right, but that's just it for gold. So let's quickly go on. We've taken so much time already on gold, so let's quickly go on. Um, let's look at AD card quickly. Do we have anything on AD card? I might not necessarily be looking out for much. I'm going to be very cautious trading this week. Um, but it's just for the meantime, this is still Monday, so Tuesday, Wednesday. I might want to watch out for maybe Wednesday or Thursday before looking out for any crazy trades that I would love to capitalize on. If price will price give us a break, it looks like, I mean, it looks like we're having good enough, a very good enough. Yeah, we have a pivot there. So it looks like we're having, solid reasons for price to drop from here, from somewhere around here. I don't know if you can see that. It does look like we have solid reasons for price to drop from somewhere around there. If we do get that, then definitely expect, sweep of trend line liquidity, then possibly, dropping towards the downside for, the sell continuation. All right, but our price basically has gotten into here, so I'm not necessarily uh be looking out for entries right now. But at all, if you're on this trade for the sales, I think this is still fairly valuable, still fairly viable. All right, for the meantime, if at all this zone holds up, if it doesn't hold up, then definitely please by all means just work with the break and retest. I love working with break and retest, especially once I see that my zones get violated or invalidated rather. Just work with the break and retest. But for the meantime, I just want to be watchful of this. I'm not giving us any bias for AD card right now, or at least I will not be giving one right now. Let's see, ADJP. Why? I don't know when. Okay, this is I think last week. Yeah, it's all right. I don't know if I gave this to us, but yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Okay, this was last week. I was not, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry me. All right, but let's just see if we can get something to work with, on this guy this coming week. Could we? Might we? May we? Can we? English is so fun sometimes. All right, so let's see. We have that there. I think that's fair enough. I could or I would want to work with this also. Maybe just the whole of this region here. All right, so if I'm working out for sales for AEDJPY, this is going to be, you know, that's going to be basically my sell POI between 97.090 and 96.759. Again, 97.090 and 96.759. That's what I'm watching out for. That'll be my sell POI on AUD JPY. For the meantime, let me quickly cross check that what we can see on the daily time frame. Possibly this low already seems to have been taken. Right, so possibly let's see how this guy plays out during the course of this week. Right, so that's it for ADJPY. Let's go to ADUSD next. ADSD has been fairly elusive for me. I was expecting a sell from here. Price, I think that was 2 weeks ago, so price basically just left me behind. But all the same, let's see if we can then capitalize on any current market structure or price action rather. Right now we should still be expecting a drop. I do believe we should still be expecting a drop. Okay. Okay. Mm, 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 mm. I'm trying to just spot where exactly this drop will possibly end, before we get in for buys. I would still think that zone or that region that we marked out ahead here, it still looks to be something that can hold or should hold. Let me see on the 2 hour time frame quickly. Yeah, it does look like something that would hold. Possibly I'll just increase it to this for safety's sake. And yeah, so let's have this right now for possible sales on ADUSD. So POI between 0.65813 and 0.65590. So what I'm expecting basically right now is buy to sell. Now remember again, I said CPI is coming out tomorrow, so depending on the amount of volatility that we get to see from the CPI news release, especially for USD pairs, we might get to see some of these trades, especially for the USD pairs being invalidated. But all the same, we should just have this at the back of our minds, and then we can work with this during the course of the week. Right, so let's see Euro AUD also, Euro AUD also, Euro AUD also, Euro AUD also. This guy really played with my emotions. About a few weeks ago, I was expecting buys from here. I got to see a lot of buys. There were many buys inside here, but still, I wanted that buy to just keep on going. I wanted to have a very, very beautiful swing, but I already closed out of this trade a while ago. So, let's still see. Right now, we're seeing rather this, resistance still holding fairly well. I am expecting the price to break above it. We have sort of a QMR in around there. So let's see. Let's go back to the 4 hour time frame. Okay. Let me check on the daily also then. If it's not giving me, this range is very annoying. this it's not necessarily so much of a range, but still, I'm not seeing any clear higher highs or higher lows or lower highs or lower lows or whatnot. So that's still quite a range right now. So I want to see this range being taken out first. All right. So for those of you who know how I trade, especially when I spot ranges, you should know this right now. So I'm going to mark out this as my range. Sorry. I'm going to mark out this as my range. And for this week, especially for this week, I'm going to be very cautious, like I've said already. I'll give us how we can trade out of this range. So very, very simple. The way I trade ranges is very simple. Work with the lower boundary and the upper boundary. So this would be my lower boundary, and my upper boundary would be this region here. Right, quite simple, right? So this is the idea. What we are watching out for rather is the break and retest sort of formation. Very, very simple. What I want to see is either a break below here, a retest of that lower boundary, then the sell, all right, or a break above here, the retest of that upper boundary, and then a buy. But basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that for the meantime, be very, very cautious on this guy. Just watch out for a break and retest. If you do not see a break and retest, and especially for the retest, when you see that the retest, the candle that that gave that retest, so to speak, you're seeing like rejection candles. We are seeing an engulfing candle pattern formation inside there. You have more reasons to look out for that trade to play out. But that is what I'm going to be watching out for on Euro AD this week. Next up, without taking too much of our time, let's just go to EuroCAD. EuroCAD. EuroCAD looks like it still wants to give us a drop. Or it looks like it wants to give us a drop. Or let me just quickly check that on the daily. Okay. I mean, we're still not necessarily close enough to where I'll be quite comfortable for the sales. We're not that close to it. All right, so let's just mark out this point first. Right, so this is where I'm watching out for possible sales on this guy. I don't think price should get in, like I don't think price should break above it for the sales, but I think this is where I'm going to be watching out for possible sales on EuroCAD right now. So currently I'm expecting a buy to sell sort of scenario on EuroCAD. So how that is clear also. Hey, I forgot to call the values for Euro AD, so I'll go back to that shortly. Sell POI for EuroCAD is between 1.61244 and 1.60875. Again, 1.61244 and 1.60875. UAD sell POI is between 1.78546 and 1.78209. Same UAD buy POI is between 1.79437 and 1.79073. Remember, the idea is that we're watching out for what? A break and retest. All right, so that's it for UAD. EuroJPY, I do believe we have some sort of correlation between EuroJPY, the way I'm looking at it right now, and I think what we saw on ADJPY previously, but let's not work with that alone. That can just be something extra for us to have in our pockets. For the meantime, let's look at this guy, fairly objectively, you know what I mean? We have this how that looks to. So we have this. The price hasn't taken out yet, or has it? Sorry. Ah, why is my mouse deciding to wind me? Okay, we're back. All right, so we have that there. Mm. Just give me a minute, please. I'm trying to, because I marked this out prior to now. I'm trying to see if I can remember what exactly I marked. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So that's in that case. Let's just extend it to here and here. Right. So this will be my sell POI off of Euro GPY. Still quite far away. And again, all along the line, we still have we have fair value gaps left behind prior to that point. So let's see if price would be a darling and eat them up for us. The way I mean. I'm just trying to cross check also, because I'm seeing something else right now, and I am tempted to want to mark out this full region here, and then we can just work with the 50%, which for me seems to be a bit more preferable. Reason why I'm working out with this region basically is because I believe this to be our pivot in this case. We had an impulsive candle, and then we had a drop after that impulsive candle before we got to the continuation. So we can basically just work with the 50%. But it's again, it's still quite wide. So still quite wide. So let me just have it at this. Is that point there? Is it there? Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. So let's just work with this right now then, what we had prior to now. So for the sell PY on Euro GPY between 173.933 and 173.380. That will be the sell POI for the meantime. All right. So for those of you who might be watching out for buys off of this guy, so that you won't need to necessarily wait so long for your buys. If you're going to be working with, this time frame, do again, you can by all means take it to the lower time frame and, slim fit it to the lower time frame. I mean, and refine it, rather, that's a better word, to lower time frame, and then get to your entries. You can again just work with the break and retest of this point here, or it can at least write the buys to here before then price gets there, and then we get our sell from there. So I hope that is clear for Euro JPY. Next up, let's just do Euro USD. We've taken quite some time on today's call already, so I'll be ending it in about 5-6 minutes. So I'll make this video as short as possible for those who will still be watching. All right, so for Euro USD, I think, this was news last, that was NFP. Right. So let's see on the daily time frame, what might we expect from you, kind sir? You still look like you want to try to ride a little bit, which is not bad. It's not bad. All right, the young needs to grow too. So we have, um, you know, this pivot still giving us fair enough reactions right now. Maybe I can just bring it lower here. All right, so we had around there, we had some level of resistance. Price broke, became support. Price came back again, support. Price broke again. Price has come back again. Now it's sort of a resistance. So we might still see, or at least we should still get to see price, drop a little bit more from what I can see right now. Against tomorrow's news release, I want to see what price does when it gets into this region here, which is another sort of pivot. We've had multiple reactions inside there, that we might be careful to. We'll just be very, very careful to watch out for rather. Because I still sort of expect this guy to move up a little bit rather. I still expect Uriah to give us, some buys, but I want to see whatever reaction we get from here. Yep, I want to see whatever reaction we get from here. This low, do we have a possibility of this low being? So this is my current bias for possible buys off of Euro USD. I don't know if I'm going to still get to see this happen this week. I can see that the POI is quite slim, between 1.15863 and 1.15657. All right, the POI, the point of interest rather, is quite slim, but I think I'll be watching out for that. Again, we have possible, all right, a possible trend line support. We've not had touch. We've only had about 2 major touches, all right, though we've seen smaller touches around it, but I'll just count those as one. All right, so I just want to see possible third touch, since we've had a trend line now also coinciding with that point. So possibly we can get to see buys from there towards the upside off of this guy this week. All right, so that basically is what I'm expecting right now on Euro USD. Let me also confirm. Trying to be very, very cautious, right? Because I can see a short, I can see good enough reasons to buy from here on the daily time frame. Don't mind me. I'm just trying to sift through the possibilities I'm seeing right now, and work with what I believe should be, or what I believe to be the most probable. You know. All right. Let's just work with this for the meantime. Let's work with this for the meantime. If at all this trade gets to fail, right, then definitely I'll just work with this same region for a break and retest. But I do not believe this to. I do not believe this should fail us anytime soon. I don't believe this should fail us. Even though for a while we've seen that this guy looks to have been fairly bearish for a bit. All right, but let's just see how this plays out this week. Let's just see how this plays out this week. This is still early during the week. During the week we might get to see, especially tomorrow, we might get to see changes due to the way CPI comes out. All right, and my bias anyway. I'm sorry, just give me a minute, please. Apologies, please. I'm coming. All right, thank you. think I'm close to there again. All right, so that's just it for USD. Let's not take too much time on that already. Than we have already. So next up quickly, I'm just going to quickly say this now. I'm going to rush through a bunch of ones together. We'll go to GA, then GG and GU. Right. So for GA, this has been a sell I've been watching out for quite some time now. Watching out for rather for quite some time. Price basically got into it around last week, but we've had price being fairly slow inside that region. I believe that this sell should still hold. Let me see if we can get. I'm not sure if we can get good re-entries, but for the meantime, if you're able to see re-entries for sells off of this guy using your entry criteria, I believe that GA sell should be quite a good one this week. I don't want to take too much time on that. Let's look at GBP, JPY also. We're inside this job based drop here. Are we? Are we in there? We look to be inside. I'll just mark out this whole region. So yeah, we're already inside that region. So I believe something similar. Then we should get to see this guy give us that sell also. Right. Let me just confirm from what I can see on the daily. I believe it should still hold. I believe it should still hold. Right. So let's see how this plays out this week for the sell. So sell POI basically we're already inside it. 199.324 and 198.833. That'll be the sell, or those are the coordinates for the sell POI on GBP JPY. All right, without taking too much time again, let's quickly look at GBP USD, GBP USD, GBP USD. Let me see daily time frame. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Sort of kind of interesting. If I'm looking out for sales on the daily, this would be where I'll be camping. Fortunately, I do not camp with snipers. That was a game reference, don't mind me. So this is actually sort of similar to what we just saw on USD, right now. All right, but for the meantime on GBP USD, if I'm going to be watching out for possible sells right now, for possible sells on GBP USD, this will be where my sell PY would be at. All right, between 1.35887 and 1.35123. So I don't see price jump into that or push at least into that region before I watch out for possible sales off of that. All right, so how that's clear for GBP USD. I don't believe I should take too much time on that anymore, or on that long, or on that rather. Let me see. NZD card. Do we have anything? Did I see anything on NZD card earlier today? No, this was from about 2 weeks ago. So no. And I get to just see a sell confirmation. I'm just looking out for the one that will be the most probable for us to work with. No, no. Let's see the USD card, or maybe USD card or USD GPY. One of them will be the last ones we'll look at for today's session. Possibly it's going to be USD GPY. Yeah, so let's just do USD JPY. Let me start from the daily for this though. Yeah. So let's still see. Mm. This is very sauce, all right, but this is what I'm going to be watching out for right now this week on UG. This is very, very suspicious. I mean, like, it's very, very suspicious here. And I'm just going to be watching out for that right now. What do I mean? I mean, there's something like this. Something like this for the sales on USD JPY. Sell POI between 149.490 and 148.599. Basically, what I'm watching out for is quite simple. We have a pivot, or rally based rally inside that region rather. So we can see the rally based rally. Possibly, I can even it's a bit so that to be as accurate as possible, right? So we have that rally based rally that price basically did not even use at all. Price basically broke below, price basically broke it at all without minding it. Right now, I do believe though we should get to see a sell continuation this week. Already we are in a very, very interesting is it weekly or daily supply region. I think it's on the daily. Yeah, so we're currently in that sort of, so it's on the weekly rather, very, very strong weekly supply region. Price basically has not broken out of it yet, and I do believe we should get to see that zone still holding up for a bit longer. So once again, sell POI between 149 rather 149.490 and 148.871 for the sales. So until buy into here, and then we get to see a drop. Now remember, all everything I've said so far here is still subject to the news release coming out tomorrow for the CPI. All right, so I want you to be very, very cautious and to practice proper risk management in all your trades. Again, I'm very sure we're going to have a very profitable week. Thank you for joining us for today's market review session. See you in our next one. Goodbye, guys. Have a lovely week ahead.